जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरवनचारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव राधा माधव जय राधा माधव जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा सुभद्रा माई जय सुदर्शन जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गिरिधरी जय गिरिधरी गिरिधरी जय गिरिधर जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय आनंद दे लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय आनंद दे जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Gaurav Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes Prabhu.
You are audible. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, so we'll start with the prayers. So welcome to all the devotees who have joined for the Sunday program for Surabhi Kunj. So we'll start with the prayers. Om Atnanatimirandasya Atnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapidam Yena Bhudale स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददान्ति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुधापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखां विदांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पदे गोपेशा गोपिका कान्दा राधा कान्दा नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूगं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम् ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Hare Krishna. So, welcome again to all the devotees who have joined. So, we'll start the session. Gaurav, Prabhu, you can start. Go ahead, right, with the session.
Yes, Prabhu, we can start. We have around 24 devotees now.
Okay, Prabhuji. So, we'll start. I'll have some slides to share. I'll share the screen. Let me know, Gaurav, Prabhu, is it visible once I share?
Yeah. And just Shabnan Prabhu,
Yes, Prabhu.
I can see that now like they have enabled live streaming service, but I'm trying. I'm not able to basically do it. You can just try if you can uh, also live stream it on our Facebook page. Just try to do it with your
I,
Zoom account.
yeah, I am not getting that option, Prabhu. I think you have to make me the host.
Okay, just give me a minute.
Prabhu, there may be some restrictions. Maybe we will
Yeah,
try.
you can try. You can try if that is working. That is possible.
No. There may be our restrictions from the office, so we will discuss later, Prabhu.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, Gaurav, Prabhu, so we'll go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu. You can go ahead.
Okay, so yeah. So today we'll be discussing about Bhagavad Gita, shlokas from chapter 7, the fifth and the sixth shloka. Basically, we will be talking about the different energies of Sri Krishna. Okay, so let us move on to the shloka. So there are two shlokas. So first shloka I'll read. Apareyam idastvanyam pragrudhim viddhi me param jivabhudam mahabaho ya edam dare de jagat. So will devotees would like to repeat? Gaurav Prabhu, is there a option?
Yes, devotees can unmute and repeat.
So better only one devotee can repeat because it will create echo.
Okay, then Navraj Prabhu, you can repeat.
Yes. Apareyam itastva anyam prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabhavo edam dharete jagat.
So translation. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of the material inferior nature. 7.6. Etat yonini bhutani sarvani di upadaraya aham krishnasya jagata prabhava pralayastata. Repeat, bro.
एतद् योनिनि भूतानि सर्वानिति उपधारय अहं कृष्णस्य जगता प्रभवा प्रलयस्तथा.
Translation: all created beings have their source in these two natures of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am the both the origin and the dissolution. Okay, so the seventh chapter, we have seen that basically it's a very important chapter, and we can see, there are very many important shlokas. This shloka, the previous shloka was actually talking about the material energy of the Lord. Bhumi Rabaro Nanalo Vayu Gammano Buddhirevaja, right? What is the shloka? Ahankara Itiyam Vinna Prakriti Sthita, right? So this was the previous shloka. So in that shloka, what was discussed was uh, basically, it is talking about the material nature, which is consisting of the five elements, right? Bhumi Rano, Bhumi Rapo Ranalo Vayu Gam, right? So earth, water, air, fire, ether. So these are actually described as the separated energy, material energy of the Lord. So this has been already discussed in the last session. So today we will be seeing the other second type of energy of the Lord. So here actually in this sloka, what is mentioned is that we'll see that in more detail in the next slide. Okay, so basically here actually Krishna is mainly talking about in the 7.5 the aparayam. Aparayam idastvanyam prakritim vidyame param, right? So it's talking about the energy, para energy. So there are two kind of energy. One is the para, which is the internal energy, and apara is the external energy, right? So in this sloka, the Lord is saying that besides the material energy, right, which is apara, which has been discussed in the previous sloka, there is another superior energy of me, actually, and the living entities, Jiva Buddha Mahabaho, the Jiva Buddhas, no, actually they are part of this energy, right, the superior energy, and they are actually were exploiting the resource of material inferior nature. Yedam dharye jagat. So this is what actually Lord is saying about the superior energy. Then in the next sloka, basically it is saying that everything actually, see whether it is internal or whether it is inferior energy or whether it is superior energy, all of them, the source is the Supreme Lord. Krishna is saying that He is the source of everything, right? Yeah, I'm the origin as well as the dissolution. Okay, so these things we will discuss in more detail today. So let us move on to the next slide. So though here actually in this particular shloka, actually Krishna is talking about mainly the two kind of energy, right? But actually we can see from the scriptures, right? So these two are just one kind of a main classification, right? But actually the Vedas tells that then the Lord has actually multifarious energy, right? And also very important to understand is the energies are not independent, right? Whenever there is an energy, we always understand that there is a source of the energy, right? And then so whenever there is an energy, there is also should be an energetic, right? So basically Prabhupada always used to discuss about, in various conversations and lectures, that basically this everything cannot come from the void, right? When there is energy, we have to know that there is some force, some living entity behind energy. So for example, Prabhupada used to give the example of an power station, right? So the power station basically is the source of the energy. The energy, electric energy is produced in a power station, right? Maybe it is a power station which is hydroelectric power station, or it can be thermal or nuclear, it doesn't matter. There can be a source, right? And this electric energy to operate, so basically to operate the power station, there has to be an engineer who is an intelligent person, right, who has designed this power station, and also who is operating under his control, this power station is working. So similarly, when the living entity is in the material world, only they are able to, with their limited intelligence and senses, they are only able to perceive the manifestation of the energy in various forms. Like for example, we can see that there is sunlight, and then there is actually wind power and various other different energies we can see, which are material energies, right? But actually the original source of all energies, is Supreme Lord. So behind every energy there has to be an energetic, and then there should be a person also. And we see the so many varieties in the material world, right? So many complex systems, even this very small, if you take a mosquito, very small mosquito, or even an butterfly, right? So there is so much of wonder in that, in the creation, so much design aspect. and so much perfection in every creation. So we can assume, when we can understand that such a perfect creation cannot come from something which is random or by chance, or by certain permutations and combination. So behind every intelligent design there has to be an intelligent person, right? So this way we have to understand that behind every, everything that is manifested, there is actually a supreme engineer, a supreme controller, who is actually there. And also we understand that there are different grades of controllers, right? And even if you take a thermal, I mean, in a powerhouse, there are different grades of people working, right? There can be an operator who is just responsible for operating the power plant, right? And then there may be an engineer who actually supervisor may be there. Then there may be an engineer, then there may be a senior engineer, and then like that there are maybe various hierarchies, right? So similarly, according to Vedic scriptures, the supreme engineer in the universe, right, is Lord Brahma, who is the first creator, living entity in the universe. But actually, we'll see later that all this, all the different what you call responsible uh, governors, right, or engineers, they all actually are actually reporting to some supreme engineer or supreme controller, right? So that we will see in detail. So what we have to understand is that no, the Lord actually has unlimited energy. So just like the Prabhupada used to give the example that an electricity, right? Electricity is one kind of energy, but it can be manifested in various forms. For example, like we have electricity in our house, but the electrical energy can be converted into heat. For example, in an iron box, right? It can be converted into cold, right? In an refrigerator, right? It can be converted into the rotation of a fan, like that. So the same energy is converted into various forms. So similarly, the Lord's energy are actually manifested in various ways. Okay, so we can see that there's a quotation from Shvedashvatara Upanishad 6.8. This sloka is quoted by Prabhupada also many times. It says, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyade, anadat samas chabhyadigascha drishyate, parasya shaktir vividaiva shruyade, swabhavigi jnana balakriyacha. The Supreme Lord has nothing to do, and no one is found to be equal or greater than him. For everything is done naturally and systematically by his multifarious energy. So this is actually evidence from the scriptures, right, which actually is talking about various different and multifarious energies of the Lord. And also natasya karyam karanam cha vidide means actually the Lord is actually, he's always he's a supreme controller, right? He is not bound by any rules, right? Any laws that actually he has to work. For example, in the material world, we see that everybody is actually forced to do activities, right? We are forced to work to maintain ourselves and our families. We are forced to work, in the office. We have to take up some occupation and things like that. And then in the material controllers also, the demigods, we see that they are also forced to act. Even Lord Brahma, right, the topmost engineer, he also has to act. Actually, he has to do creation. He has to supervise the activities of the material world, right? There are other controllers, like we have Indra, Chandra, Varuna, etc., right? Indra, like, responsible for rains and the king of the demigods, Indra. Then Chandra, like, who is supplying the moon light actually for required for the vegetation, right? Then Vayu, right? And then so many different office bearers are there, but everybody has to work. So everybody is actually busy, doing different activities. But we can see that who is supreme. The question actually, again and again comes to the people who are taking the path of spirituality. So we can understand that actually a real topmost person, right, in an organization, who is the complete proprietor of everything, doesn't have to do hard work. No, he doesn't have to slog, right? He can enjoy, he may be playing golf somewhere, right, or he may be doing some other activity, recreation activity. So similarly, we see that every gods, right, they are always busy, with actually various things. They carry different weapons for protection, etc. But we can see that Supreme Lord Krishna, he actually is always enjoying in the spiritual abode of Goloka, right? He is always carrying a flute, and then he's playing with his friends actually, right, doing various pastimes and activities. So he doesn't have anything to do actually. But no, he has, just like we write a program, a computer program, and once we write a program, the program can run independently, right? Once it is written properly, it can keep running. So similarly, the Lord has designed everything through his different energies, and once it is set into motion, right, then the material world, it actually goes on, without his direct supervision. He doesn't have to directly supervise each and everything, no micromanagement required, but indirectly he is present everywhere actually, that we have seen that andandarastha parabanu chayandarastam, right? He has entered every atoms. He has every living entities and non-living entities, every atoms, and also every living entity is present as Paramatma. So by his agents, he is present everywhere, and he is aware of everything that is happening. So that is why it is told that no, not even a blade of grass can move without the sanction of the Lord, without the knowledge of Lord. So that way he is cognizant of everything, right? So though he doesn't have to do anything, but actually everything is carried on by his various energies. That is what is explained in this shloka. So here actually the three type of energies are mentioned, which are the broad category in this shloka is mentioned as Nana, Bala, and Kriya. So we already know some of these energies by other names, right? We can see that no Bala is actually the strength or eternity. This is the potency by which everything is maintained. No, the material, spiritual world, they are all maintained by this potency called Sandhini. It's also known as Sat. So we know that we tell that the Supreme is Satchidananda. That is his form, right? It's consisting of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So Sat is eternity, Chit is knowledge potency, and Ananda is the bliss potency. So this way, these are the three primary categories. It's also known as Bala, Jnana, and Kriya, or no, it's also known as Sandhini, Samvid, and Haladini. Right. So Hladini is the spiritual potency, right? By which actually the devotees are enjoying the rasa. The Lord actually enjoys with his friends. Devotees also get the rasa, right? Bhakti rasa. So that is actually this Hladini potency. And Sambit actually is the knowledge potency, by which actually we can understand the spiritual topics, for example, right? So this way, these are the three primary energies of the Lord. Okay, now we will move on. So this is one category. Now we will talk about a different category, right? So these two categories are not from the same perspective. Basically, we can see that no, anything if you take any aspect, anything you take, we can classify in different from different perspectives, right? For example, we can classify some metals based on their based on the density, right? And we can also classify them based on some other properties actually, for example their valency, like different ways you can classify the thing. So these are different ways of classifying the energies of Lord. Of what we saw, Bala, Jnana, Kriya or Satchidananda is one classification. Now we can talk about the other classification which is specifically mentioned in this shloka, right? Which is talking about the three. Basically there are two primary, but actually there are three if you really look into detail, right? So we'll see the shloka quotation from Vishnu Puran 6.7.61. It says, Vishnu Shakti para prokta kshetratna khyatata para avidya karma sapnaya tritiya shakti ishyate. So what it says, Lord Vishnu's internal potency is called para or superior, and so also is that potency to which living entities belong. The third potency is known as avidya or ignorance, which manifests material activities. Okay, so we can see that there are three. Is mentioned also in the shloka, right? Tridiya Shakti. So here also there are three classifications, but it is like a little bit from a different perspective. Okay, so one is the internal potency, which is known as the para, which is spiritual energy of the Lord, right, or superior energy. Then second is that which is consisting the living entities, the second category. And the third potency is known as avidya or the material energy, right? So this we'll see in the more detail in the next slide. Okay, so basically there are two primary energies, and the third one is actually kind of an intermediate stage. Okay, so the primary energies are internal energy and an external energy. Internal energy is also known as Antaranga Shakti or spiritual energy, right? And it is actually Yogamaya, who is she is the controller of the internal spiritual energy of the Lord, and Subhadra Mai, she actually represents this particular potency. Okay, and the next one is known as the external energy, which is known as Bahiranga Shakti, or this is the material energy, which actually Mahamaya Durga Devi, right? Mahamaya is known as Mahamaya, which is the Yogamaya potency is generally manifested in the spiritual world. The spiritual worlds are manifested by this Yogamaya potency. Mahamaya is the potency by which the material worlds are manifested and maintained. And Durga Devi, she is the controller of the material energy in the material world, right? And Yogamaya potency also will actually appear along with the Lord. Whenever the Lord appears as his pastime, the Yogamaya potency comes along with the Lord, and it actually like Mahamaya bewilders the living entity in the material world. They keep them in the illusion, thinking that they are the body, and or they are the body, and whoever actually surrounding them, they are all his relatives. everything on the bodily platform. Mahamaya actually bewilders the living entity. Similarly, Yogamaya also bewilders the devotees and non-devotees also. Yogamaya actually hides the potency of the Supreme Lord. For example, Yashoda Mai, right? She, in order to increase the rasa of the relationship between a mother and child, so Yogamaya actually covers the potency, the knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Similarly, all the close associates with the Lord, no, when the Lord is manifested, Yogamaya actually makes them forget actually the original position of the Lord, and they think that okay, Krishna is my son, right? Krishna is my friend, like that they think, and then they are able to enjoy, right? Just like how in the form of Sakya Rasa, the devotees actually are able to put their hands around the shoulder of the Lord, climb on the Lord, and just like friends behave, right? They forget that he is the Supreme Lord, and then they are able to exchange the rasa. So that way, Yogamaya potency is the spiritual energy which actually is manifested, and Mahamaya is the potency which actually the living entities are bewildered in the material world. So we see Krishna actually says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Naham pragasha sarvasya yogamaya samavridam. He says that I am not revealed to everyone. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavridam, because I am covered by yogamaya. When Lord comes, actually, Lord actually, many people cannot, normal people cannot understand Krishna, right? Because he is actually covered by yogamaya potency. That is why people doesn't understand. Avajanandimam muda manushim tanumashritam, right? Parambhava majanando, like that it is told actually. So people actually, the fools deride actually when the Lord comes, right? They think that he is an ordinary person, right? So this way, there are two primary energies of the Lord: internal energy and external energy, right? So in Bhagavad Gita, one shloka is there about internal energy, which says that Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakriti mashida bhajantyananya manasa natva buddhadim avyayam. So basically, it is not directly talking or explaining about internal energy, but no, the devim prakriti is actually to be understood with the internal energy of the Lord. And what is understood? See, the pure devotees of the Lord, they are not under the control of external energy, Maya, right? Even when they are in the material world, the pure devotees, they are actually above the control of Maya. They are outside the control of Maya, because they are under the protection of Yoga Maya. They are under the protection of internal energy of the Lord, right? So basically, as long as the living entity in the material world, they are under the influence of Maya. Actually, Maya always test. They are completely under the grip of Maya. Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durattaya Mameva Ye Prabhadyante Maya Medam Tarandide. Krishna says that this material energy, Devi Esha Gunamayi. Guna means the three modes of material nature, right? So this Devi, who is the material, who is the control of the material nature, Devi Esha Gunamayi, Mama Maya, she is my energy, Mama Maya Durattaya. She is very difficult to overcome. Nobody can cross over this Maya. But how? There is only one way to cross over her. That is Mam eva ye prabhadyante Maya meram tarantite. Because Krishna is the controller of Maya, and Maya Devi is is actually, it is explained as she is the maid servant of the Lord, right? She is actually a very faithful servant of the Lord, and she is doing the thankless job of reforming the living entities in the material world. But actually, she is always subservient to the Lord, right? So when actually the living entity takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, who is Maya's boss, right? Then actually she very readily releases them from the clutches. So that's what Mam eva ye prabhadyante Maya medam tarantite. Only by surrendering to the Supreme Lord, right, it is possible to overcome this material energy, which is very very powerful in the material world. So this is talking about the external energy, right? And internal energy we already saw, right? So basically, so as long as the living entity are actually are not ready, basically we know that we have seen the previous sessions, and from other lectures, the living entity actually comes, basically all the living entities in the material world, they are actually eternally part of the spiritual realm, right? They are actually part of the spiritual world, which is known as the Tripada Vibhuti, the 3/4 of the creation. And the material manifested universes which we see is only one fourth of the creation, right? It is known as Ekapada Vibhuti. So the living entities fall down from the material spiritual world because they develop sometimes a desire to enjoy independently. So even in the spiritual world, the living entities has a free will, right? There's a free will, because Lord never wants to force the living entity to serve him, right, or love him, right? Because though the living entity's original nature is to serve him, Jivara Swarup Hari Krishna and Nityadas, right? The eternal position, constitutional position of the living entity is to serve the Lord, because the living entities has been created for that purpose. But actually, nevertheless, the Lord doesn't force the living entity. And when some living entities develop a desire, that they want to enjoy independently, they actually are immediately falling down to the material world. And the material world is designed like a reformation center, just like a criminal, right, in the material world doesn't obey the rules of the law, they are put into a prison. Similarly, this prison, material world, is a prison for actually the living entities who want to enjoy independence of the Lord, right? And the Durga Devi is the superintendent of this prison. So she is doing her duty actually. We see many people will say, no, like there is no God. Why so much unfortunate incidents happen to people? Why so many people die? Why pandemic happen? Why war is happening? Why a small child is actually suffering? Why small child is dying? Because they don't know the big picture, right? Because this is how whatever every living entity is enjoying or suffering is based on their past activity. And Maya Devi is she is actually she is observing the activities of living entity, and accordingly, she is giving different bodies, right? Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yandra Rudani Maya. So the Lord, Supreme Lord, is situated in everybody's heart as Paramatma, and he's observing the activities of the living entity. He's recording each and every activity the living entity does in the material world, good activity, bad activity, right? Ishvara Sarva Bhudanam Hrideshe Arjuna Tishri. The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in the heart. Brahmayan Sarva Bhudani Yandra Rudani Maya. So based on the karma, the living entity is wandering Brahmayan Sarvabhutani in different bodies. Brahmayam Sarvabhutani, Yandra Rudani Maya. So based on the karma of the living entity, Maya, material energy is giving a suitable body for that particular living entity to enjoy or suffer based on the desire of the living entity, right? Somebody has a desire, you want to fly, right? The material energy will give a body, of a bird, for example. If somebody wants to be in the water for all the time, the material energy will give a suitable body, which actually is suitable to live in that particular environment and enjoy, right? So that is another shloka, no? That what is the shloka? Granam Sparsham. Basically, Adhisthana Manaschayam. Basically, that shloka says that based on the desire of the living entity, accordingly, a particular tongue, particular nose, particular different senses are provided to the living entity based on the particular karma and the desire. So this way, Maya Devi actually, she is the superintendent and she is controlling the material world, and for reforming the living entity. But when she sees that the living entity actually is taking up to the devotional process, he is actually again trying to revive his original relation with the Supreme Lord, by trying to revive his love for the Supreme Lord, right? Then actually the Maya Devi gradually releases that living entity from her clutches, right? And then when she finds that living entity is suitable, a candidate fully qualified, then actually the living entity is released from the clutches, and that living entity can go back to his original abode, right? So this way, the material world actually is is going on under the control, indirect, separated energies of the Lord, right? External energy of the Lord. Material world is conducted in this way. uh, yeah, so that we already explained that, basically we have to understand that no, all these things happen not by accident actually, which is happening in the material world. Everything actually is, there's a purpose, and everything is by design, right? So the material world is designed in such a way because the living entity has a desire to enjoy independent of the Lord. And no, if he is aware of this original constitutional position, he cannot completely enjoy, right? So because of that, the living entity's original intelligence, right, knowledge is covered actually by Maya. The Maya covers the original knowledge of the living entity so that he can forget his identity as the servant of the Lord and try to enjoy here, right? But nevertheless, the second of the design is that the material world is designed in such a way that no, every living entity becomes frustrated actually sooner or later, because we can never find the real happiness here, because the original as long as the living entity or any created being, right? For example, a fish is created to be living in the water. As long as the fish is in the water, it can enjoy. But no, whatever you give to the fish and the land, right, like provide all kind of food and other like very nice place to live and all, nothing is going to help as long as we are not in the constitutional position. We can never enjoy. So the living entities were created for the enjoyment of the Lord, and there were loving relationship and exchanges between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. But actually, because we are in the unnatural position in the material world, right, we cannot find the real happiness. There is one more way of understanding this is that it is mentioned, no, that shloka is there, Urdo Moolam Madashagam Ashwatam Prahuravyam, right? So basically, Urdo Moolam Madashagam means that in the material world actually is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, right? So just like we have a very beautiful tree, with a lot of fruits, which is standing on the shore of a lake, and then the tree is reflected in the lake. How much ever we try to pluck the fruits from the lake, right, and how much ever we try to enjoy the fruit in the lake, in the reflection, that will never be successful, right? Because it is always a reflection. So that by design, the material world cannot be a place of happiness. Even though living entity, the chit potency we discussed, right? Sorry, the hladini potency is there. The hladini potency or the pleasure potency is also part of the living entity. It is explained, no, the living entities are like Anu, and the Supreme Lord is Vibhu. But the living entity and the Supreme Lord has the similar qualities, but in very limited quantity. The Jivas has very limited quantity, and Supreme Lord has no all the opulences, etc., in unlimited quantity. So the pleasure potency is also part of the living entity, and the living entity, that is why the living entity is always trying to enjoy when they are in the material world also, right? That is a natural position to enjoy, right? So but the real enjoyment will come only when we are serving the Supreme Lord, just like watering the root of the tree. So this way the design of the living material world is that we can't find real happiness, right? This is known as dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It is explained in Bhagavad Gita, right? It is dukkhalayam, in the place of misery, and ashashvatam, it's also temporary, right? So how the living entity follows material way? No, it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Bulia Jiva Bhogavang Chakare, Pashate Mayatare, Japati Adare. So basically, Krishna Bulia Jiva, when the living entity forgets Krishna, right, then they start thinking of enjoying independently. Bhogavang Chakare, Pashate Mayatare, Japati Adare. So Maya is actually just waiting. No, for whoever actually is who actually is forgetting Krishna, Maya is just waiting to capture them. No, and immediately they are cast into this material world. So this way, the design is made actually. So unless and until you understand how the design is, there's no way of getting out of it, right? So that's why it is very important to understand from a shastric perspective, scriptural perspective, how actually things are conducted. Yeah. So energies are always controlled by the energetic. So this we discussed in the beginning, right? So basically, jivas and prakriti are controlled by the Lord. So basically, everything is under the control of the Lord, right? Jivas and prakriti. How the Lord controls in the material world, the Lord doesn't directly control the living entity, right? It is through the material nature, the laws of material nature, like no, not the laws of science, but the laws of material nature, as we know from the Vedic scriptures, the action of the action reaction cycle of the karma, right? No, the etc. That is the main driving force on the living entity. So based on this action reaction principle, the living entity is indirectly controlled by the Supreme Lord. But when a living entity takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, right, he becomes a devotee of the Lord, then the Lord will directly control the devotee. The Lord will take control of the devotee. So unless and until the living entity sincerely surrenders completely and and pray fervently to the Lord, saying that, no, please take control of my life. Right, the Lord will not interfere in that living. Lord will not interfere in the living entity's life. No, because he came here because he want to be independent and no, you want to enjoy. But unless until one is completely frustrated, no, and then he sincerely realizes this original position and fully surrenders to the Lord, then that shloka is there. No? Mahatmanastu mam partha devim pragadimashita. Vajanti ananya manasa natvam buddha. So this shloka applies then. When somebody becomes a Mahatma and he fully surrenders to the Lord, then actually it comes under the control of the superior energy of the Lord. And the Lord will take control of the living entity and he will guide the living entity back to the spiritual world. Okay, so next we are talking about the different type of jivas. Gaurav Prabhu, I wanted to check whether questions should be in the end or.
Yes, Prabhu. Questions will be at the end. Yes.
Okay. So now we'll talk about briefly. I'm not going to deep about this because it's a very separate topic by itself. So basically, the jivas, right? The living entities we are right. So the living entities actually are separated energies of the Lord. So basically, broadly, if you classify, there are two kind of energy. We can call it swamsha and vibhinamsha. The swamsha is the direct expansion of the Lord, which are generally known as Vishnu Tattvas, and jivas actually are known as vibhinamsha, separated energy. Okay, I think I forgot to mention one thing. I forgot to talk about marginal energy of the Lord. So this basically we talk about internal and external, right? So the third is called intermediate stage. So basically this jiva, the living entity, actually are originally the spiritual energy of the Lord. They are internal energy of the Lord. But when they come to the material world, right, as soon as they enter the material realm, immediately they come under the control of Maya, right? Then onward they are known as Tadasa Shaktis, because it is just like tat is actually a shore, right? A shore, actually, for example, a seashore, no, or a lake shore. A seashore, if you take the seashore, is sometimes it is under the influence of the water, the sea, and sometimes it is under the influence of the land, right? So it is a marginal, it is a marginal position. So similarly, when the living entities are in the material world, though originally they are spiritual energy, they comes under the influence of the material energy, right? So that is why they are known as Tadastha Shakti, right? So they can actually, if they want, they can actually surrender to the Lord and again regain their spiritual position. Otherwise, actually, as long as they don't do, then actually they remain under the influence of material energy. So this way, the living jivas are in an intermediate state of Tadastha, right? As long as they are in the material world. So this shloka, Mamevam Sho Jiva Loge Jiva Buddha Sanatana Manashashtanendriyani Prakritisthani Karsha. So this is how the living entities are described by Supreme Lord. He's saying that all this living entity, right, in the Jiva Buddhas, right, who have taken birth in this material world, they're eternal, Sanatana, Jiva Buddha Sanatana. Then what are they? Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loge. So these living entities are actually my parts, Mamai Vamsha. But they are the Vibhinamsha, they are separated energy. That is not mentioned here, but we understand from other quotes that it's separate energy. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loge, Jiva Buddha Sanatana. Manashashtan Indriyani Prakritistani Karshati. So Manashashtani is Shashta means 6 and 6 Indriyas. There are actually 5 Indriyas, mainly 5 Nanindriya, right? And Karma Indriyas are there, right? So 5 Nanindriyas, like eyes, nose, tongue, touch, hair, etc. So these 5 plus mind. So mind, according to Vedic scriptures, mind is also considered as an Indriya. Mind is the king of, or the leader of the Indriyas. It is told that the mind, all the senses are grouped around the mind. So this way, the living entity in the material world, they actually are suffering. I mean, are struggling. Prakriti Sthani Karshadi. They are struggling the material world with these 5 and 6 Indriyas, including the mind. So this mainly we have to understand here is that the living entities, this establishes the fact that the jivas are part of the Supreme Lord. Mame Vamsho Jiva Loge. Okay, we go on. So basically, here I discuss about Vishnu Tattvas and Jiva Tattvas. Then actually there is something called Nitya Siddhas and Nitya Baddhas. This is also another category of living entity, another classification. So Nitya Siddhas are eternally liberated, right? And Nitya Baddhas are eternally conditioned. So Nitya Siddhas are those living entities which actually are, they are actually in the spiritual world generally. They're always liberated. They just come to the material world for a mission, right? For example, to help the Supreme Lord. Sometimes they come as an Avesha, Shaktya Vadeshavadar, or they become an associate of the Lord, right? Just to help the Lord in his mission, right? So they are actually just like a superintendent or a minister who is coming to a prison, right? Prison to visit the what you call the criminals, right? So the criminals should not think that they are also criminal. They are actually they are eternally liberated. They are not actually inside the jail, but they just sometimes come here just to see the living entities, to help them go back, for example. Yeah, I think we'll go a little fast here. Yeah, this I think we already discussed. Yeah, basically there are different avatars of the Lord, I think, which I'm not discussing today because I think already we 5:45. So now we'll move to the next shloka. So basically, next shloka, it is saying that everything we see, right, everything that is manifested, is either actually matter or spirit. So these are the two classifications of everything that is available, right? Either they are matter or spirit. Okay, so and Krishna says that he is the source of everything, and he is also the dissolution, cause of the dissolution of everything. So here actually, some of the things which Prabhupada used to discuss is that we can, so life come from life, right? So basically, spirit can never come from matter, right? This is one thing we have to clearly understand. Matter can come from spirit. For example, the spirit, actually the jiva is a living entity, or everything that we create in the material world, we see so many magnificent creations, right? Wonders of the world, so many buildings, skyscrapers, everything actually is our matter, actually, which is created by jiva behind it. But the other way is never possible. Even though you automate a factory, whatever we do, there has been an intelligence, should be an intelligence behind it before, right? Even it may not be directly visible, just like a small child may see the car moving and thinks that a car is moving independently, right? But actually, if you intelligent person understand that there is a driver in the car, right? Driver may be inside the car or outside, but there has to be a driver. So similarly, the material world is working by the supreme intelligence which is working behind. Okay, and yes, just like the living entity. So living entity is a small, we can think the living entity's body is like a small universe, small cosmos. Similarly, the material entire universe, if you take, right, that is also a bigger body. And then there is also a Paramatma in the in the universe. For example, one of the Vishnu's expansions, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, right? He actually conducts a particular universe. And similarly, there is Kshirodakashayi Vishnu who is conducting all the universes like that. So there is always a there's also a consciousness behind the universe, right? And other things which are manifested. So some of the quotations, how we know Krishna is the source of everything. Krishna says in Brahma Samhita, we know that Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So he's saying that Sarva Karana Karanam, right? Ishvara Parama Krishna, Supreme Controller, Ishvara is Krishna, Ishvara Parama Satchidananda Vigraha. He's having a form of Satchitananda, which we already saw. Chidananda Vigraha. Anadi Radir Govinda. There is no beginning, right? And there is no end for him. And he is the cause of all the causes. Every other cause is coming from this cause, no? That is Govinda. Sarva Karana Karanam, right? Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Anadi Radir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Right? He is the cause of everything. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartade. Idimatva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvida. Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. So Prabhupada explains is, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly knows this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Right? So this is one. And the next shloka is saying, Maya Dikshena Prakriti Suyadayata Sarajaram Heduna Nenugandeya Jagad Viparivartate. So he's saying that Maya Dikshena, no, under my Adhyakshata, no, the Prakriti is actually working under my this thing. The material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kundi, producing all moving and non-moving beings under its rule. This manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Jagat Viparivartate, right? So this actually we already discussed. And there is a small kind of pastime from Garga Samhita, which I happened to read recently. So basically, which actually talks about how we can categorically understand, that everything actually is coming from Supreme Lord. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, no, we know, before the appearance of Lord Krishna, all the earth in the form of a cow approaches Lord Brahma, right? Because the earth is burdened by so many demonic kings and other evil forces. And in the form of cow, it approaches Lord Brahmaji, and Brahmaji actually goes to the Vishnu, right? In the milk ocean. So Shvetadvipa, right? This is part of the material world, and actually in Bhagavatam, it is Bhagavatam actually, it actually gives, it doesn't give all the details. Sometimes some of the top secrets, for example, actually it is not directly mentioned. For example, the relation, I mean, how the activities of Raja between Krishna and the gopis, right? Only briefly it talks about a certain aspect. There are many higher truths which actually is not fully mentioned, revealed. So in Garga Samhita, we see further it is explained. Actually this Vishnu will take, along with Brahma and all the demigods, they actually goes so Vishnu will say that this particular situation can only handled by the Supreme Personality. Then Brahmaji and others will ask, we thought we are the Supreme Personality. Then the Vishnu will say, no. Then Vishnu will take all of the demigods, etc., to the spiritual abode. They will go to Goloka and meets Lord Krishna there, right? And then when they reach Goloka, they will see that the Vishnu came along with them. He enters actually into the body of Krishna. Then they will see Lord Narasimhadev, entering into the body of Krishna. Then Lord Ramachandra, right? Then various expansions of the Lord, right? They all actually, enter Narayana Rishi. All this expansion, they see that they are all merging to the body of Krishna, right? So, from this we can understand that, like everything, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, actually includes every incarnation, everything actually, right? Ede Chamsa Kala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, right? So basically, in Bhagavatam, it is told that all these, all these expansions, incarnation which I mentioned, are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions, right? But Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. But Krishna is the original Supreme Personality about it, right? Ede Chamsa Kala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So this way, we understand that actually Krishna is the source of everything. But many places in the normal scriptures, we cannot understand beyond Lord Vishnu, right? Many times it only talks until Lord Vishnu only. Beyond that, we very hardly, very rarely, we actually get the full information. So by the work of our previous acharyas, like the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, Jiva Goswami, actually they have tried to analyze the scriptures in very detail, and they have brought out the confidential, truths about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So because of that, actually we are able to understand what is the original position of Krishna. Okay, so some more shlokas are there. So how do we understand, the Lord is supreme, right? So for example, Katha Upanishad, it says that Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Ego Bahunam Yo Viradadi Kaman. So what it means is that he is eternal and the living beings are eternal. He is cognizant and the living beings are also cognizant. The difference is that the supreme living entity of all living entities, he is a supreme, right? Supreme living entity of all living entities, and is supplying all necessities of life for the many other living entities. He alone is maintaining all life from a tiny germ to the big elephant. He cares for all living entities like father does for children. Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. Ego Bahunam. Ego means the one actually supporting the multitude, no, of all the living entities and also satisfying their desires with the Dadi Kaman. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Adava Bahune Dena Kim Nadena Zavarjuna. Vishtabhyam idam Krishnam ekam shena siddho jagat. So here from this also we can understand the splendor, no, the superiority, splendor of the Lord. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support the entire universe. So this actually is very interesting, right? Krishna is saying that by a small fragmental portion, the entire universe is sustained, which actually we'll see in the next slide. Okay, and further in Narada Pancharatra, it is mentioned. Basically, now we understand. See how Krishna's fragmental portion is supporting the universe, right? That we can see from the scriptures. So in this particular shloka, it is mentioned that Vishnu tu trini rupani purushakyani atho vidu ekam tu mahadas srashtar dvidiyam tu andas samstidam tridiyam sarvabhudastam tani natva vimuchyate. So basically, it's saying that there are three kind of Vishnus, right? Basically, it's talking about Karanodakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and Shirodakashaya Vishnu, right? So Ekam to Sashtra means it's the cause of everything, right? The first one is the Karanodakashaya. Dvidiyam Andastam, which is inside the Anda, which is inside the universe, that is the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. And Tridiyam Sarva Bhutanam, the super soul of all living entities, right? That is Shirodakashaya Vishnu, right? There are three Vishnus like this. And Tani Natva Muchare. So whoever knows these three Vishnus in principle, they will become liberated. Like Krishna says, no, Natwamam Shanti Richadi, Vishradera Tanandaram. Like that Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, right? What is that actually sloka? Whoever knows me in truth, right? They don't have to take Tektva Deham Punarjanma Naidi Mamedi so Arjuna. Right? So like that Krishna actually mentions, here also it is mentioned like that. For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes three Vishnus. The first one is Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy, known as the Mahatattva. The second is Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Shirodakashaya Vishnu, is diffused as all pervading super soul in all universes and is known as a Paramatma. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these three Vishnus can liberate from the material entanglement. So basically, the Mahavishnu, which is explained, is the first Vishnu, first Purusha Avtara. He actually is a portion of the plenary portion of the Lord. Right? How do we understand that? Okay, there was maybe here, I think. Yeah, so I'm not going to explain it in full detail, but no, basically we can understand that Krishna is actually source of everything. First, Krishna, direct expansion is Lord Balram. And from Balram, the first Chaturvyuha has come, Vasudeva, Sangarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Right? And the Sangarshana, actually the Narayana expansion is coming. And from Narayana, the second Chaturvyuha is coming. No, here again, Vasudeva, Sangarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And from the second Sangarshana, actually Mahavishnu is coming. So we understand, see, the entire material world actually is created and maintained by this Mahavishnu. So this Mahavishnu is a portion of the portion of the portion of the portion of the Lord. So that way, that is why Krishna is saying Ekam Shena Siddho Jagat, right? By a small fragmental portion, I'm maintaining everything. So just to understand that, no, I just quickly went through that. Yep. Yeah, so basically there is more details in Chaitanya Charitamrita. They're talking about the three Vishnus, right? We already discussed Karanodakashaya Vishnu. So Karanodakashaya Vishnu is the first Vishnu, first Purusha Avtara. He is actually lying in the Karana ocean, right? Because he is the cause of other material manifestation. He is known as the Karana, right? And then this ocean in which he lies is known as the Karana ocean, the causal ocean. That is the cause for the material manifestation. He is known as Karanodakashaya Vishnu. He is considered as the super soul of the cosmic manifestation, entire cosmic manifestation. Then in every universe, so when the Mahavishnu is breathing out, from every pore of his body, there is one universe which is coming out, right? And the Mahavishnu expands as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and enters into every universe in the form of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. This is the second Vishnu, and he is known as the super soul of the particular universe, right? And then so he is maintaining that particular universe. And from we know that he is also known as Padmanabha because from his navel, actually, this Padma is coming, the lotus flower, and on top of his Lord Brahma is seated. So this is second Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. And then the Lord enters every atom. We had seen earlier, right? Anda andarasta paramanu chaya andarastam in Bhagavatam, in Brahma Samhita it is mentioned. He enters every atom, and also every heart of every living entity as Paramatma. So this is the third Vishnu, Kshirodasha Vishnu. Okay, so yeah, so we have to understand that everywhere actually there is some consciousness. No, even the material universe also there is a universe consciousness of the Vishnu, which actually is driving the universe by his force. The universe, the planetary systems, everything is in order. Right, we'll not go into more detail about it. Then there is a brief description about the dissolution of the material world. Krishna is saying, no, I am also the cause of the dissolution. So here actually this sloka is there in Bhagavad Gita. Prakritim swam avastabhya visabjami puna puna Buddhagramas imam Krishnam avasam prakritevasha. This whole cosmic order is under me. By me, my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and by my will, it is annihilated. Right. So actually, the Lord is also cause of indirect cause of destruction. So there are different destructions in the material world, right? Like at the end of Manvantara, there may be some destruction. Then at the end of the day of Brahma, there is a destruction, right? And the end of the life of Brahma, there is actually the destruction of the entire manifestation, cosmic manifestation. So at the night of Brahma, all the lower planetary system from Swargaloka below, right, will be submerged and destroyed. And the residents of Janaloka, I think Maharloka residents will move to the higher planet actually because of the heat, because it is told that the Sangarshana, from the mouth of Sangarshana, the fire will emanate and it scores the entire material creation, right? So all the lower planetary system is completely destroyed, and the residents of Maharloka, because of the heat, they will move to the next higher planetary system temporarily, and next day of Brahma they will again come back. But nevertheless, Swargaloka below, everything is destroyed at the night of Brahma. On the next day again, they are all created, right? And the end of the life of Brahma, everything goes into the body, back into the body of Mahavishnu. So this way, the creation and dissolution is happening, right? By the power of the Lord. We have also seen that Bhutva Bhutva Pralide, right? Yeah. So that actually this way, again and again, actually it is destroyed. So living entity are continuously troubled in the material world. Wherever they go, they cannot escape this process of creation and destruction. Even in the Abrahma Bona Loka Punaravartino Arjuna, even in the topmost one of the Brahma, right? This Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi cannot be escaped. Okay, so with that, I think we have reached almost the end of the session. I was thinking of telling a couple of pastime, but I think I'll only mention one pastime briefly. Basically, this pastime on the left, there are two pastime. The pastime on the left actually is Lord Brahmaji going to Dwaraka, and the pastime on the right is the Brahma Vimana Leela. So I'll talk about the pastime of Brahmaji in Dwarka, okay, because that other one is big. We'll not have time. So this pastime, I think many of you may be already knowing. It is happening, when the Lord is present, is Prakata Leela or material pastimes are going on in the material world. He was actually in Dwarka, as we know, right? Towards the end of his pastime, he was actually in Dwarka. He was in Rija, then he moved to Mathura, and then finally he came to Dwarka. So in Dwarka, the Lord actually was ruling with all the opulences, right? So once actually Lord Brahmaji, it is mentioned that all the demigods used to meet Lord Krishna, when he was present actually to discuss various problems, in the higher planetary, various governmental issue and etc. So Lord Brahmaji came once to meet Krishna, right? And when he reached the entrance of the of his court, right, the Dwarpalagas, he asked, who are you? What do you want? And then actually the Dwarpalaga, Brahmaji will say, I am Brahma. I want to meet Krishna. Okay, so then Dwarpalaga will go and tell Krishna that Lord Brahma has come. Can we allow him to come inside? So then Krishna will ask, which Brahma? Can you please ask which Brahma it is? So then actually, the Dwarpalaga will go and ask Brahmaji, which Brahma are you? What is your identity? Give your identification. So Brahma was completely, shocked, because he was always thinking that no, he is the only Brahma. Right? He did not know about any other Brahma. So then actually Brahmaji will say that, tell them that I am the four-headed Brahma, who is the father of the four Kumaras, right? Like that. And then finally, Lord will allow Brahmaji to come inside, and Krishna will ask, okay, Brahma, why have you come here? How can I serve you? How can I help you? So Brahmaji will say, before I can tell why I have come, first I would like to clarify my doubt. You asked, why did you ask which Brahma it is? I was always thinking there is only one Brahma, right? Then actually Krishna will, by his mystic power, actually, by his special power, he will call all the Brahmas of all the universes. So we have seen, previously that the Karanodakashayi Vishnu, he is lying in the causal ocean, right? we cannot imagine actually what is the size of the cosmos ocean. It's unlimited, and the huge body of Lord, and from every pore of his body there is one universe coming out, and every universe there is a Lord Brahma. So this was not known to our Brahmaji, in our planet. So then Krishna will call all the Brahmas, and no, then Brahmaji will see that no, there are like so many Brahmas. Some Brahmas are having 8 heads, some are having 16, 32, some are having 1,000, some are having millions of heads. Actually, it is told, and they also have unlimited number of eyes and arms like that, and all of them actually is coming and paying obeisance to the Lord, lotus feet of the Lord. And no, so then Brahmaji understands what is the position, what is his position, and what is the opulence of the Supreme Lord, right? So all these unlimited Brahmas came there, and it is told that by the mystic potency of the Lord, only our Brahma could see all other Brahmas. Other Brahmas could not see other Brahmas. No, they only see themselves. And then so they all of them will come, pay obeisances, and then they all go away. So this actually is a small incident to understand, the unlimited potency of the Lord, and how actually he is the controller of all the universes, right? All the universes, all the Brahmajis. Yeah. So I think with that we can conclude today's session. Before that, I just want to remind about book distribution marathon, which is coming. It's almost like there. And this year, actually, all of us know that it's a very challenging year because we are not able to go outside. And yeah, Prabhupada actually is very much, he is spiritual master always told him that whenever you get money, you print books. So Prabhupada, told that actually in one of the letters, that whenever I get report of my book selling, I feel strength regarding book sales figures. Please endeavor in this way. This is the only solace in my life. When I hear that my books are selling so nicely, I become energetic like a young man. So you can understand how close it is to Prabhupada, right? Book distribution. So basically, we are all trying to escape from the clutches of Maya, right? Maya medam tarantide. Namayoye prabhadyante Maya medam tarantide. So how can we actually surrender to the Lord, right? How can we please the Lord? It's actually by Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasado. Yasya Prasada Nagadi Gudopi. By pleasing the spiritual master, the Supreme Lord is pleased, right? And Real Prabhupada actually is our preeminent Shiksha Guru, and also our spiritual masters, right? They're also following his footstep, and everybody actually wants to spread the mission of the Lord, right? And book distribution actually is one of the most what you call most prominent, most powerful, like Brihad Mridanga, right? By which actually this knowledge can reach to so many people. Now it is like a time bomb, right? Just like you can just give the book actually without talking much. If they take the book and some point of time they read, then someday they will become a devotee. So it's a very very important aspect of our this thing. Preaching is essence, right? In that particular aspect. So we all should try to think some new ways, innovative ways how we can distribute the books, because as usual it may not be possible to go to public places and distribute the books, because actually we have to also be careful about our safety, our safety and other safety. So we have to think about new innovative ways, how we can distribute the books. And we have also already have the books in our center. There are so many books already available, so we can just think about different ways. And we also form a committee last time, right, last week. So that committee can actually think about some innovative ideas, and all of us can support them, right? So with that, I think I would like to conclude today's session. Thank you everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanjakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu vaja dhiranam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna, Gaurav Prabhu. So I'm done, Prabhu.
Yeah. So Prabhu, I just would like to check if any devotees are having any questions for Ranachora Prabhu for his session today. Okay.
Prabhu, I have one general question, Prabhu.
Yeah.
That I have heard that in the Goloka, all the men like Gopas, no? Are they Vishnu Tattvas, or can even Jiva Tattva can become Gopa there?
It's a difficult question. Because see, generally we should understand that the residents of spiritual world, they are actually Nityasiddhas. Okay. But on the other side, it is also mentioned, Prabhupada, I remember mentioning in Bhagavatam, I think, that actually, see, if there is no point that we cannot, if you are not able to become an associate of the Lord, then there is no point actually in executing the devotional service, the process of whatever we are following, the prema bhakti process, right? So it is told that Golo Gera Premadan Hari Nama Sankirtana. So this Golo, the Krishna Prema, actually is possible by following the pure devotion service. So what we understand is that by following, executing the pure devotional service, it is possible to become an associate of the Lord in Goloka. So there will be both kind of both kind of associates in the spiritual world, right? One actually are eternal residents, and what is called sadhana siddhas, right? By executing the devotional service and becoming perfect, they actually attain this spiritual abode and become associate of the Lord. Those are sadhana siddhas. Does that answer, Prabhu?
Yeah. So your answer is both possible. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. I also have one question, Prabhuji. So basically, we understand that there are so many Brahmas and they have their own creation. So we understand that because of different desires, one get 84 lakh species of different lives. But how basically it is decided that one will fall into the creation of this Brahma or into the creation of that Brahma? How basically that is decided once one fall from a spiritual world?
Mm. I don't have a scriptural answer, Prabhu, for this because I have not read it anywhere. But because there are varieties, what we can think is that we don't know about other universes, right? All that we know from the scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam and all, it's only talking about our universe. We only have very vague references like what we saw, right? For example, in Bhagavatam, there is one shloka where actually, after the Brahma Vimohan Lila, Krishna says that all unlimited universe is coming through your pores. Like only that much is mentioned. That's the only thing we can see in Srimad Bhagavatam. Like just like the light, the dust particle in the sunlight, right? Which come through a sunscreen. There are so many particles like that through your body. There are unlimited universes coming out. So that is only information in Srimad Bhagavatam. And I have not read anywhere, how exactly. But what we can only understand is that there are actually different universes will have different kind of mechanisms, right? Facilities. There are more variegatedness. So maybe it is possible that different universes have different kind of facilities, based on the living entity can enjoy and suffer in that particular universe. So definitely we know that there are multiple universes. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, Brahmanda Brahmide Kono Bhagyavanchi, right? So different universes. But exactly how, for that matter, even it is very difficult to find. If you ask, who, how it is decided who will be born in Bharatvarsha, India, who will be born in US, who will be born in Europe. Also, we don't have a direct answer. Right? It's very difficult because the laws of karma. It is not kavayo atra mohida. Even the great yogis and saying, they are actually bewildered by how karma is working. So unless and until we hear something from senior devotees or in the scriptures, it is difficult to say, Prabhu. I don't really have a concrete answer.
Okay.
Kripam Prabhu, I don't know if you want to add something, maybe you can say.
Kripamay Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu. So this is regarding whether somebody will actually move to a different universe, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
How
so
it is decided when somebody with Jiva will go to which universe?
okay, so when you actually fall down from the spiritual world for the first time, you are actually going to get a body of a Brahma, nothing less than that. You will create your own universe, and that's actually mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam purports, the first canto itself. But once you are inside a particular Brahmanda, and then you fall down from a position of Brahman, you don't go back to Godhead in that lifetime, then you're stuck within that particular universe. You can't actually get out of that universe. This portion is actually mentioned in the Padma Purana part, but then it's pretty vague as he says, because nobody actually, it's so vast to actually even go and complement all these things. But you are within the same Brahmanda. You cannot actually get out of the Brahmanda. When the Brahma dies, then you actually get an opportunity to get into other Brahmandas. But then that point in time, depending on your desires, whichever Brahmanda has, that kind of desire be fulfilled, you will go there. One thing you have to understand, as Ranachora actually spoke about the different Brahma's heads, it's a different dimensions. Our world, our creation is only 4 dimension based. That is length, breadth, height plus time. Only 4 dimensions are there in this universe. That is why you have 4-headed Brahma. There are other dimensions which we are completely unaware of. Maybe something like virtual reality or something. I don't know. So if somebody has a desire to fulfill in that kind of realm, you get an opportunity to actually visit that particular place. Does that help you, Gaurav Prabhu?
Yes,
You
Prabhu.
see this, you see here, I mean, like some Brahmas actually have 100 heads, multiple heads and things like that, it's because of the dimensions. Our Brahmaji actually has 4 dimensions. Our universe has only 4 dimensions. There are other universes which actually have multi-dimensions, which we really don't know how it actually works.
Very complicated to even comprehend.
Yes, only
Yes.
Krishna can actually understand these things. I mean, he can actually make it happen. If you have a desire to fulfill something which cannot be fulfilled within our 4-dimensional universe, then you'll go to that kind of universe where that desire can be fulfilled. Krishna keeps desiring, fulfilling all our desires. That's his only duty. That's all he does for all the conditioned souls. But it's not satisfying him. He's not happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is also it's only a representation of Brahma, right? I mean, it may not be exactly like this. So this is all we can do in our 4-dimensional understanding. This is how we can draw the Brahma, right? But it may not be like this. We can't perceive or comprehend actually the other dimensions, as Prabhu Prabhu told.
Yeah.
So this way, it is difficult to accept. People will say how it is possible like this, how that can stay and all. But no, this is not exactly how it is. It's only a representation, we could say. Because it's not possible to show it in a 2-dimensional way. How this Brahma with multiple heads and will exist.
Yeah,
But
one thing I
actually,
just want one couple of things.
yeah,
Sorry, Guru, I just want to add a couple of things here. It's very difficult to understand this aspect, but it's a fact. Brahma is the most beautiful person in this universe from a conditioned soul perspective, because there cannot be anybody who is actually more attractive than Brahmaji. Unfortunately, we don't know how to actually really depict it. That's basically because Brahma is the most qualified in this universe. So he cannot actually have somebody who is great, who is more beautiful than him. He doesn't do that anyway. So that's one thing we have to understand. The other thing I want to actually mention is the timeline for each universe is very different. In the Srimad Bhagavad, I think in the 5th canto, there is a portion wherein the time aspect is actually explained, Gaura Prabhu. In that, actually, it is mentioned every living entity lives for 100 years. 100 years of their timeline, time zone, whatever you call it. We live for 100 years, but then that 100 years actually is comparative. It is not the same. These are very highly technical stuff. It's good to know all these things, but end of the day, the aspect we have to understand is Krishna is the Supreme Lord and we are servants, is unlimited, and Hare Krishna. Because if you get confused about all these things, it will not take you anywhere. Knowing this or not knowing this, it will not actually take you anywhere. But knowing that Krishna is extremely powerful and we are very mindful, that helps us to actually get convinced that I need to worship Krishna.
Thanks, Prabhu, for explaining it in detail.
Yeah, lot of information today. Thank you so much, Ranachora. I mean, I don't think anybody would actually be able to cover 1 hour so much of information. Amazing. Very good.
Yes, Prabhu.
thank you, Prabhu. I want mercy only, Prabhu. You have taught us everything, all this, whatever I am explaining.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada's mercy.
Yes. So thanks, Ranachora Prabhu, for the wonderful session. Everyone likes it, also the presentation. So I would request now Sarnan Prabhu to do some 15 minutes kirtan, and then we'll end the session for today. Thanks.
Sure, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you all devotees for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Prabhu.
Thank you. ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानजनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. You can all repeat actually after me. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine.
Swami Niti Namine.
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पासत्यादि सतारिणे
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani
जय श्री कृष्ण नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा
Krishna Hare Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare
Rama,
Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Pranama Sankirtan ki,
Jai,
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai,
Jai,
Srila Gurudev ki
Jai.
Jai.
Thanks, Sarnan Prabhu and all the devotees for wonderful Kirtan. So we'll again meet next week. Hare Krishna. Thanks.
Thank you, Gauranga Pavana Prabhu. Sometimes we are used to the old name, na? Changing its thing sometimes. Sorry,
Yes,
Prabhu.
that is fine, Prabhu. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all. Hare Krishna. We will again meet next week, Sunday, same time, 5 p.m. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.